So that was the best episode of the show, right? That might be the best episode of any Marvel television thing so far. I think there are other episodes of like WandaVision that I really like. Episode 2, I always talk about. And I think there's individual what ifs that play really well. I think the first episode of a lot of shows feels like very promising, but like episode 7 of Agatha All Along was something else, because this was a perfect, like, zeroing in on one character using one trial to get to the bottom of what makes one character tick and giving them the opportunity to figure out who they are and get to a better place and like tell their whole story. I thought it was done in a way that felt incredibly like constructed and deliberate, and in a way that like if they tried what they ended up doing in this episode and didn't put as much thought into it, it would have felt so stupid. Like, I still would have liked it. I would have been like, oh, that's cute, that's ambitious what you were going for, but it's like you gotta figure it all out ahead of time and plan it out and then shoot every shot like that on the day so that it feel, and we should know that they can do that because that's what Agatha All Along was. It was like a moment where we saw a lot of the things that we had already done from a different angle, and it felt very deliberate. But like with this, all of the staging of all of those shots, everything with the tarot cards, it was great, and like it all felt so earned and brought everything together. I think this makes me appreciate the show way more. Like, I think it makes me want to go back and watch the other episodes of the show and see all of these little asides that Lilia has, because, you know, it's kind of interesting now, and especially knowing like what state she is in when, because we had speculated what was going on in her head, right? She says, don't save Agatha. So we knew that was like her trying to warn Alice because she knew what was going on in the future. But I think what really was great, because we all had a sense that this character, Lilia Calderu, played by Patti LuPone here, did a terrific job. We figured that she was like, you know, a little out there, spacey, a way that characters described her as kooky or wispy. I think those are all, you can write a character like that and never determine what it is that's actually going on in their head. You just go like, well, they're just having like little thoughts, and you know, obviously we would figure it out, like, oh, their thoughts are out of order or something. That's interesting. But like actually going through, structuring it all so we can see everything from their perspective, watching the episode, being right there with them when they're like, why do I like this teen character now? And you're like, well, you just do, you know, trust me, you will. And then when she gets there, she's like, we're cool. It was so good. Okay, what else? Oh, they answered one of my questions from last week. Not like they answered it, but like it came up naturally. It's a question like, how do people know Wanda's dead? And how much do they know that? And it seems like even if you know, you don't know, which I'm glad that they acknowledge that in universe. I think the costumes in this trial are fun. Just very generic kind of witch characters. Okay, so what do we know about these? Because I actually think they're kind of interesting. Like Agatha, Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, it depends on how much actual like wicked lore we're putting into this, but like someone misunderstood, you know, the bad witch, cackling, all that stuff. And you got Jennifer Kale as a character that I think is just called the Evil Queen, but in her like old lady costume. She's the witch that does potions, and the Evil Queen poisons Snow White, so that works. Billy, I guess, is kind of Maleficent in that he feels left out of the group, was not invited to the thing. So he feels like he needs to not necessarily get revenge, but it's like he feels like he needs to insert himself into this group the same way that Maleficent was like, I deserve to be here. And here's if I remember my events of Sleeping Beauty correctly, and I've never seen that Maleficent movie, so yeah, whatever. And then Lilia as Glenda, that was the one that didn't really stand out to me. It's like, what are they going for here besides she is kind of a cool head compared to Agatha, who especially in this trial is like messing everything up, and it takes, you know, a good witch to come in and fix it, maybe. Okay, so like all the Lilia flashbacks were great. The way that it all connected was awesome. I just really like, there's not, with an episode like this, it's like, I don't know, just go watch it again. You can listen to me talk about it, I guess. I don't have too many secret clues or like things I figured out. The other big spoiler for the episode, I'm glad they revealed the thing about Rio and who she is, because people, first of all, people like us that knew the comics and knew this was an option had a feeling this might be who this is. And then there were leaks that came out a couple weeks ago, and that guaranteed it. Although even with those now, I think that one that came out and you're like, oh yeah, that's real. But if I'd just seen the picture of Rio's Funko Pop, I think I could have been convinced that was fake. They're like, no, that's not real. I like that they're not drawing these two mysteries out. It makes sense why the Funko Pops are out. It's because otherwise, in any other show or in many other shows, this would be an episode 9 reveal. But by episode 7, we have the identity of the actual hero of the show and the actual villain of the show. So that's good. I want a tarot card reading. I think it'd be cool. I want somebody to like do my tarot cards. I've never done a tarot card reading, but I think it's fun. And I think one thing I love about witches in this universe, first of all, is that they don't all buy into all of it. Like, I love how Agatha, who has hired and like brought Lilia into this coven, is still like, I don't know, this is bullshit though, right? Like, this isn't real. Nobody does real tarot cards. It's like, it's stupid. We did Ouija board 2 weeks ago, Agatha. This is definitely as real as Ouija board, but whatever. I like that Jennifer Kale is pretty much just working with her here. Like, a character like this could be just kind of a jerk, or just kind of like, wow, you're weird, you're creepy, what's going on with you and all your weird future speaking stuff. Like, I think they decided to make Jennifer more of a curious character, which I like in a show like this, where she's like, all right, tell me what is going on, give me the rules, and I'll be able to work with you when this all gets real screwy. I think Death looks awesome. Just that 1 second of her walking towards Lilia, so good. Very creepy, the skull face and all that, great. I'm glad that maybe the Salem 7 are done, although I believe if you listen to the scene, you hear 5 like fall into a sword sound effects, which would mean there's 2 maybe of them that are still kicking, but I imagine that was the most satisfying way to place those sound effects, and maybe 3 of them all hit the same sword at the same time. I don't know. But yeah, like, there's very little I can say besides just, this is a really excellent episode of television. It being so good makes me appreciate the series more and gives me way more faith in the next 2 episodes. Not that I didn't have a lot, but you go into these shows wondering, do they have a plan? Has the script been changed a billion times? What are we working with? And sometimes, you can look at COVID and other scheduling issues and say like, oh, maybe that's why this thing changed or whatever. But a lot of the other time you kind of go like, probably wasn't how this was pitched, but hey, here we are, and this is kind of fun. Shooting laser beams at each other isn't like the best ending for WandaVision, but it doesn't like make the beginning parts of WandaVision less good. But this does feel way more deliberate, and because of how well constructed this was, I kind of have high hopes that 8 and 9, which are they're 2 episodes, but they're going to be released at the same time, are going to be like a satisfying finale that figures out what to do with all of these characters. And I'm kind of excited, especially now that we know Jennifer is the road ahead, because that character is a Midnight Sun. And God, I mean, Midnight Suns, Blade, all that stuff has been real screwy this week. It does seem like that movie might get made. And I think if we want to leave Billy in Young Avengersville, assuming that's where, that character goes, Agatha doing bad guy stuff or whatever, it wouldn't be crazy to bring Jennifer into the Midnight Suns as the witch representative of the team. It does feel like the next episode is going to get into a little bit more of her psychology. We still don't know what happened to her and why she was bound and lost her magic and who that guy even was. Like, they kind of explained what she thought she was going to in Boston, but I wonder if we're going to learn more about that event, because even when she did explain it to everybody, she still was like, I really don't know what happened. So I think we'll have to get that explanation. I'm excited now for a confrontation between Billy and Rio. That's cool. Billy's magic in the comics works a bunch of different ways. Because sometimes it's, glowy things and saying things and whatever. But a lot of the other times, especially when Billy was introduced, was when there's this book goes out called The Secret. And it was about manifesting. This was when this really took off, and the idea that, like, if you want something, you have to say it and think about it all the time, and then it will become real. Not really, but like, that was kind of what they were going for. And his superpowers were activated by him, like, saying to himself, like, I want Kang's force field to go down. I want Kang's force field to go down. And then that would happen. So the fact that Billy goes, I wish Lily was here, and then Lilia pops up, it's like, oh, it's almost like your magic. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to get another episode like this. Like, it's something that I think feels so unique and so well done. I'm really impressed that it was directed by Jack Schaefer, who seems to be the creative genius behind all this, but like, doesn't direct every episode from what I understand. And yeah, so this is another, just give them the keys to whatever, Young Avengers, if they want to do that, sure. If they want to do a Wanda thing, sure. But like, this is a very solid showing, and yeah, I was just really impressed. I like the episode a lot. I wish I had more to say. I wish there was more to pick apart, but like, the subway, I guess that subway does exist. Like, that the way off the road is through the failed public works project in a section of central Jersey that did not seem to be a hub for anything else. Like, it's so rare in America to have a subway system in any town. Like, when I lived in Philly, there was a subway, but like nobody used it. And, you know, so like the idea that Westview had its own for a while is kind of silly. There were a bunch of cute little moments, like when Billy said, "I'm the queerant," and that was when Agatha gave him a little like, you know, the Agatha really wasn't the spotlight of this episode, which is great. Like, I like giving the other members of the Coven the spotlight, but this goes back to just, I think Catherine Hahn and Joe Locke have really good chemistry and play off each other well, and I like their reactions here, and I like them in you know, all the other episodes. Yeah, these last 2 episodes have been great. Like, really, really strong. It's what I've been saying for a while, which is WandaVision was a weird swing. Like, making a show like that is strange, considering, you know, the rest of these shows have been about superheroes flying around, and then this was like, you know, a sitcom pastiche reality warp thing. But that is nothing compared to how strange this is as a pitch for a show to be, you know, get whatever investment it got, which was the lowest any of these Disney Plus shows has gotten, which is also like awesome. Hell yeah, Disney, make these cheaply, and not cheaply in a bad way, but like cheaply in an inexpensive way so that you can take risks. But the I think there's something to, when I heard they were making this show, I was like, well, they must have some really cool stuff planned, because it is not an obvious next step. Like, even if the Agatha song is popular and people like that character, that is not enough to greenlight an Agatha show. So what I'm guessing is like Jack Schaefer and the rest of the crew came in with like a really solid script, and maybe even this episode was like planned out. And they're like, that's what we're going to do. Episode 7, we're going to be seeing little bits of it. And I'm glad that it all paid off, and I'm really excited. I think we're in a really good place now. We have Agatha, we have Penguin. Those are the 2 right now that are like kind of vying for, not even vying for, because I don't think they are playing in the same space either. Like, clearly they're superheroes and they're anti-heroes, whatever, comic book characters, spin-off villains from other franchises where they get a little assistant who's a kid, and we find out that their mom was the worst, and also the woman from their past comes back to start causing trouble for them. So honestly, there's more similarities than I was expecting. But I do think that coming into the 2 of them premiering around the same time, it's like, well, one will be the good one will be the bad one. Like, and they're both just a really good one. And it looks like Joker and now maybe Venom 3. Well, we'll see what people think, but have been usually would have been safe bets, you know, made billions of dollars, aren't going to be really exciting for people. But like, this is the kind of thing that I think people are really going to like. And I think if Marvel's smart, and they seem to be with a lot of this stuff, they will double down on weird stuff like this. So yeah, that's really all I got. I don't know. It was great. Episode was great. Everything was great. Patty LuPone, so good. So I will be back next week with the finale, and we'll talk about the future and all that stuff. I'm very excited for that. Until then, like, follow, subscribe, share, all that stuff. That's all I got. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.